Most racing games on the market today offer an abundance of hypercars and supercars, however, simpler cars are usually always seen as something starter, where they are presented in such a minuscule amount that there's literally close to none. Casual players do prefer, in fact, driving fast supercars over boring ones, but in the racing game industry, oddly enough, supercars have sort of become the new mediocrity. In practically every game, you get tens of hundreds of Ferraris, McLarens, Lamborghinis thrown at you constantly throughout. There is a strange irony in that, when every game throws the same hypercar lineup at you, they lose their aura of exclusivity and something relatively unachievable. The excitement of feeling speed fades away when everything is fast. The only mainstream game which provides at least a slight possibility of accessing those everyday cars is the latest Gran Turismo title, and that has been a tendency throughout the entire series. However, of course, sports cars and supercars have reasonably always been prevalent. Today, we'll be taking a look at a mod which completely reimagines the idea of racing games, turning something people usually consider mediocre into an actually exciting concept, the Gran Turismo Beige Edition. This mod was developed by the creators of Gran Turismo 2 Spec A mod. That modification had a lot of interesting cars added to the game, around 50, with a portion being cut cars. But the tone of Gran Turismo Beige Edition is drastically different. Moreover, it's one of the only games or mods with that tone. The first thing that already speaks volumes is the poster. Instead of saying a fresh for the time Nissan Skyline, there's this, the Chrysler PT Cruiser. The next thing that definitely caught my eye is the inclusion of extremely underrepresented cars. Furthermore, most of the mods consist of such. We can see such overlooked spectacles as Lancia Lybra, my personal favorite out of those. Let's take a look at more upcoming cars. In the teaser trailer, we saw such cars as the Fiat Marea Weekend, Vauxhall Zafira, Peugeot 406, Chrysler Neon, 3 and 5 series station wagons, Fiat Seicento, the General Motors EV1, Toyota Fan Cargo, or the Yaris Verso as we know it here in Europe. A lot of yellow Fords, and about those yellow Fords, these aren't just some random choices. Back in the late 1990s, Ford released the Millennium Edition models in the UK, the Focus, Puma and the Ka, all painted in that Millennium Yellow. There's also a lot of American same-base cars, as well as a plenty of Japanese cake cars. I didn't list the American ones because you would fall asleep by now, and I did not list the Japanese ones because I thought that some of those might be in the vanilla game. The mod introduced a whopping 330 new cars to the game, as well as 150 changes to existing automobiles. We also saw the cars in the mod being developed live here. Quite an awesome FSO. Besides all those cars, the developers have announced that it will bring a revamped career mode, as well as redesigned menus, new in-race music, and more. What makes this mod special is the feeling of familiarity. These cars feel close to home. Everyone has some kind of memory involving a dual compact, a noisy diesel wagon, or a boxy MPV that ferried them to school and home. The idea of racing something like a Citroën Xara Picasso around Pikes Peak suddenly becomes oddly charming, because it is to an extent relatable. That is indeed the best thing about this mod. It forces you to slow down and appreciate the smaller details of motoring. It's a celebration of cars that were never meant to be celebrated. And genuinely, what I talked about earlier, the only racing games which do that beside this one is the upcoming long-named Track Day, a racing career of mere mortals, which is sort of built on the same premise with ordinary old cars. Unfortunately, the mod is not publicly available yet, so I cannot speak from first-hand experience, but even its existence is inspiring. Instead of giving players the dream garage, it gives them the ordinary, and in doing so, it finds beauty in that. Maybe that mod encapsulates exactly what's missing from racing games, that sense of nostalgia and warmth.